Yeah, okay, that brings us to the main session.
I guess we kick off then.
Yeah?
So,
Right.
I don't know whether you know, but Prathy and I have a bit of a secret side business. Now, you might think Nigel Frank is a sponsor, has been buying all of our pizzas each week. It's not true. We have to fund those ourselves.
Yeah, especially Owen is not here.
Especially as Owen's not here. So,
Yeah.
so we've set up a bit of a secret side business. And what that is, we haven't really. We set up a secret side. The secret side business selling Power BI themed Lego to the masses in London at extremely high quantities. I assume everybody here is a customer.
Yeah, we have all the data. So we know how to track.
So, do you
Well,
want to have a look how performance is looking?
yeah, I'm really waiting for it. I hope you are going to answer all my questions.
Well, I built a Power BI report.
So,
I don't know. I think sales are looking pretty good there. Number of sales is going up. Profits looking pretty good. I mean, I don't know. Looking at this, we've sold nearly 300,000 Power BI Lego sets that month. Can't
yeah,
ask for more than that.
it's nice, but yeah, I see sales are going up, but where? In London, like, you know, it's, yeah, I can see something going up, but I don't see any more information, like, you know, where exactly in London. I want to make more money. And I want to target. Yeah, I need to show me where actually it's going up and where I need to sell more. Probably I could send you there and you could
Go and stand on street corners trying to sell
Yeah.
Power BI Lego.
Mhm.
I thought that might be my job.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will be looking after it.
So you want a map, basically. You want to know where in London we're selling.
Everyone who knows you, James, they will expect a map.
I like a map. All right.
Yeah, come on, show me the map.
Let's have a map. We need to make a bit more space on the report. So
Yeah, that's something
let's squidge things up a little bit,
Okay.
and I'll add a map. So all right, well let's just drag in the map visual onto the report. So what do you want to know? Which London boroughs are we selling most and least Lego?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
okay.
that sounds good.
So I've got some
Borough,
London.
I'm pretty
London.
familiar with London boroughs. Yeah.
Well, I've got London boroughs in my data set. It's handy. And I've got some sales data. So I don't know. Let's have a look at how many Lego sets. Hang on a minute. I'm pretty sure I haven't been over to America selling Power
You
BI
might
Lego.
be having customers in America as well.
Yeah, I don't. That's right. Let's just pull in latitude and longitude into this as well. There we go. That's more like it. So here are your London boroughs. All right, it's not that easy to see with circles. I know what you like. Let's just make it a little bit clearer. And I'm not going to go RGB for accessibility reasons. Let's say, I don't know. Let's go from.
Is this the customer's address or the sales outlet's address?
No, this is where I've been hanging around on street corners, selling Lego to the end customers. This is the actual point of sale. We're not going through outlets here. This is literally me with a big bag of Lego.
Yeah. And we're doing pretty well.
Very well.
But
This
if you
is a
can
model
afford all
others
these
should
choices,
follow.
then yeah, definitely doing well.
Sorry, what was I doing? Before I was heckled from the audience. So let's add some conditional formatting quickly in here. Let's base it on the sales quantity. And we're going to say low sales of white, high sales of blue. There we go. So I guess we want to focus in those white areas. Let's flip that the other way around, that's rubbish. Yeah, all right, let's go that way around. There we go. So we want to focus in the dark areas. Happy?
You call that a map. See, just look behind you. When I look outside, what I see is London. And what you're showing me is random circles on the map.
Okay. Prathy's never happy with any of my work ever. I'll tell you that now. So
In real life, James is my boss.
Still not happy. So you want to see the actual London Borough outlines.
Yeah.
So this is
And
quite
not random circles,
Okay,
definitely.
alright.
And I'm actually really glad you didn't put the pie charts there.
Pie charts on maps. Just don't do it. So, all right. Quite conveniently, our sales territories map directly to London boroughs. But we still need the London boroughs, right? We need to. You want to show the outlines of the London boroughs on the map.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead, we've shown this because at least 3 people asked me to show exactly this. There is a reason behind it.
If you say
No. But it's not easy, right? So we've got the shape map in Power BI. That's going to allow me to draw outlines on the map. So let's flip to the shape map. That's a tongue twister, isn't it? And if you're not aware of where the shape map is, if it's not in your Power BI, the reason is it's a preview feature. So you need to go over to Options, and it's in Preview Features over here, Shape Map Visual. And you'll notice it's at the top of the list. It's been a preview feature now for 3.5 years. I think that's a record. I suspect it will never not be a preview feature.
why?
I'll come to that. So I've got some boundaries, but that doesn't look like London to me. And it's not, it's US states. And we've got a list of predefined geography in there. But if you're in the UK, it's pretty useless. That's about as detailed as it gets. That's not going to help.
Yeah, I won't be happy with that.
And they're quite UK counties. Was that countries, sorry?
It's countries, yeah,
Yeah.
countries.
I tell you.
That's literally as detailed as it's supposed to be. But the one advantage of the shape map over all the other maps in Power BI is you can bring your own boundaries in. But we need to get our boundaries right, and it needs to be in the right format. So the shape map requires the boundaries to be in a format called topo.json, which is pretty much the one format you won't find most of your boundaries in. So let's go and find our local authority boundaries. I'm just going to Google what are we after. London, LA, local authority, boroughs, all the same thing. Boundaries. And 3 links back. data.london.gov, statistical GIS boundaries, that looks pretty promising. geoportal.statistics.gov.uk, local authority districts, cool. Ordnance survey, I think any of these 3 will give me what I want. But let's go to data.london.gov, and in here, statistical GIS boundaries, looks pretty promising. Download that. And what we get is a zip file, and in that zip file, we have 2 folders. Can you see that okay? 2 folders, one called Esri and one called Map Info. So basically the 2 formats of the biggest mapping providers. We can use either, it doesn't really matter in this case. I'm going to choose Esri because it's at the top. And inside we've got lots of different files in Esri, bespoke format for top set of London boroughs. Then we've got wards, something called LSOAs, that's more detailed geography, and then MSOAs, OAs, so all sorts of different London boundary files. But we're interested in London boroughs. But these aren't in the format I can load them into Power BI, they're in Esri's bespoke format. So I need to convert them to topo.json. So you can probably buy some really expensive GIS software for this. Or, no?
No expensive stuff. I
Okay.
want to use all the money for the community, not for some software.
This is what I've put up with.
Sorry.
Okay. Right. Fortunately, there's a website we can go to, a free one, with some open source software running in it. called mapshaper.org. I'll share the links at the end if you want to.
I like free stuff. And I like free pizza as well. Thanks to Nigel from Free Beer.
So I need to pull in my file. So if I click select in here, and we need 3 files out of all of these. We need the SHP file, PRJ file, and the DBF file. I'm not going to pretend I know what's in these.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many of all these things?
But through process of elimination, the SHP file contains the actual boundaries, and then the DBF file actually says which London borough those outlines relate to. So you need all of them, otherwise you won't get what you need to be able to build it into the report. So if I open that up, hit import, we get our local authority boundaries. Yes?
You can download the top of James.
You can. Is that... It does. Have you seen the copyright message on it? If it's the library I'm looking at. Yeah. Oh, is that data belt?
Doesn't Power BI protect us from all that?
No. you just need to be really careful when you're using some of this boundary data. So even if we use this file, there's a license file that goes with it, and it says you have to reference Ordnance Survey on whatever you're doing. Not what I might have, but I have now, Ordnance Survey, in order to use the boundaries. There's a couple of sources of TopOJSON out there in GitHub. There's another one who's, if it's not Datavelt, there's another guy who's got really, really detailed UK geographies as well. But I want to take you through the process, because if you want to use some bespoke boundaries that aren't easily available, then this applies to anything, or even the bespoke sales territories if they're not publicly available. So once you pull in the boundary data, there's something really important you need to do before you pull it into Power BI. And this goes back to Prathy's question. If the reason that the shape map visual, or probably one of the reasons the shape map visual is still in preview, is if I save this now and pull it straight into Power BI, it will probably crash Power BI, it will hang. And the reason for that is most of these files are really, really detailed and big, especially if you pulled in the whole of the UK. There's way too much detail in here for Power BI to cope with. So what we have to do is simplify it down. And there's a really cool tool in MapShaper. I can just drag this slider across and it takes out all the detail out of my boundaries. And you'll see as I move further right.
I do want to see my birds.
Yeah. So it's about finding a happy medium between big and detailed and breaky and simple and doesn't mean anything. So we can get it round about here to 10% of the original file. It's still detailed enough to use, but Power BI is going to be happy with it.
As long as I see my claims.
Yeah. So let's go with this. If I hit export and choose TopOJSON, because that's the format we need, export that out, I should be good now to jump into Power BI, add my bespoke map, and load those files in, and no, that wasn't what I wanted.
Wait.
Has anybody gone through this process and this has happened to them? Yeah. Did you manage to fix it?
Yeah, it's been a while though. Something to do with the geographic configuration of maps.
Yeah, it's the coordinate system, and we're particularly unlucky in the UK in that whilst we got into maps at a really early age, it means we're using, by default, a different coordinate system to most of the rest of the world. But fortunately, it's quite easy to convert between them, especially with MapShaper. So if I click on console and type proj WGS84, hope that's right. That looks promising. So we've got a bit squashed. So we've changed the map projection, we've changed the coordinate system. If I export it out now, again as TopOJSON, jump back. All my demos are high risk. They always have a risk of going wrong. And import it in now. We get a nice, correctly projected version of our London boroughs. So let's configure it quickly. So I want London boroughs in location. I don't need the longitude and latitudes. And we can go through here and sort out colouring. What did we have before? We had dark, didn't we, as low. And, I don't know, light as high sales. So now it's happy. Now it's quite easy to see which of those areas we need a bit more focus in, a bit more Lego sales. Happy?
I'm really happy with your work,
Right.
but not with the map.
What's wrong now?
I mean, it's showing me boroughs, but it's like I probably want to see the details. Like, you know, what's happening in the borough, where I need to target.
So you want a more detailed view of
Yeah.
which street corners I need to hang out on trying to pedal Lego.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm definitely impressed with your work, but not the map.
Well, it's a Power BI report now. We have something called drill down, don't we? We want
Yeah.
to drill down to a more detailed view of the map. Right, there's a problem. Shape map doesn't support drill down.
Alright, now you tell me that.
But there's a couple of things we can do. There's a couple of things. I'm going to do both and you can pick. Okay?
Okay.
So we can create a report page tooltip. So I create a new page, and I go to format the page, and if I tell it it's a tooltip, and then if I make the size tooltip, and let's change it to actual view so we can actually see how big it's going to be. And let's add a shape map in here then as well. And this time we're going to use a more detailed geography. So you saw in those boundary files that I downloaded, as well as having the London boroughs, we had something called the LSOAs, which is a lower super output area. So Office for National Statistic, Geography. It's basically more than a few postcodes, but much smaller than a whole London borough. So let's use that as our location. And I'm going to pull in quantity again, colour saturation. Let's turn off the title actually while we're here. What do we need to do? We need to pull in our LSOAs. Now I've already gone through the process in Map Shaper, so I should just be able to pull those in. Now, something to note in here. Let me just make it big again, just so you can see it. Only a few of these are coloured. And I'm a pretty busy guy. I've been all over London selling Lego. So why are some of them grey? Well, the reason is there's 4,500 LSOAs in London, and the shape map only supports 3,500 rows of data. So we can't view all of the LSOAs at any one time. But that actually doesn't matter for what I'm going to do. We're going to do a few things that mean it won't matter too. So in data colours, we probably ought to swap this round, so we've got dark through to light again, otherwise I'll be in trouble with Prathy. The shapes are fine. Default colour though, I'm going to turn off the default colour, and it'll be really obvious because we get holes in our map, the ones that we don't have data for because there are too many rows. Let's put border colour in quickly while we're here as well. Don't like the grey. Now in zoom, I'm going to turn auto zoom on. So it zooms into the data we've got selected. Now it's still looking pretty horrible, I get that. Last thing I'm going to do is back on the page, I'm going to drag London Borough into the tooltip field. Because what we're going to do is only ever view one London Borough at a time. So it won't matter that we've got more than 4,500 LSOAs, because we'll only be looking at a few at a time, only the few that relate to a particular borough. So if I jump back,
And you want to change the view.
I can do it. Probably won't matter. If I jump back now onto my map and hover over a borough, we get a zoomed in view of that particular borough. And as I mouse over each one, we get a nice detailed view of that particular borough. But the problem is, as a tooltip, we can't interact with it. I can't now mouse over and click on any of those individual LSOA areas. I can, where are we? Is that Kingston? I can see we've been pretty much in Kingston town centre and nowhere else. But
Yeah, well, you know it's Kingston. I definitely don't know.
well,
It's Kingston.
we'll come back to that as well in a second. I want to be able to interact with those LSOAs. So what I thought we could do, if I duplicate this page and get a second page in my report, let's call it detailed map. We'll flip this quickly to the LSOAs instead of boroughs. What do we need to do? We just need to change the shape to pull in those to use the LSOA boundaries, so we get our LSOA map. Again, the same issue, that's fine, but I'm not doing a tooltip this time. What I'm going to do is drag in borough into the drill through fields and use it as a drill through page. And we get our little back button automatically up here. I'm going to drag it onto here. So now when I go back to my normal map, whilst it doesn't support drill down, it does support drill through. So if I right click on here, I can now drill through to my detailed map, looking, oh hang on, I need to turn auto zoom on again. Live demo, and let's turn show off, there we go. Let's do that again. If I right click on one of the boroughs, let's stick with Kingston, I think it's Kingston, detailed map. It will take us through and I can see this area here where we've been really targeting those Lego sales in the city centre, but not anywhere else further out. So I hope that's quite a nice technique of, whilst we haven't got drill down, we can still
I like that.
click back and go through.
That's very good. And I have a choice to choose between those two.
Yeah, we can have both.
Like any business user, can I have both?
Yeah. But now it's on drill through, I can click on it and I can view, the particular sales profile in each of those boroughs. So you do get some example, some benefit. All right.
Again,
Happy? Detailed sales,
yeah.
London.
Well, as I said, you said it's Kingston, and you're probably telling me you're going to Kingston, but I do want to know if it's Kingston or not. Like, you probably have a better idea because you are the one who is on the streets going and selling. I have no clue.
You're going to tell me you want drill down now as well, aren't you?
Of course, now you've shown me what you can do. Of course, I want drill down.
But I've told
And
you.
also labels. Actually, I need a map. It's like, this is a shape. I want a map.
But I've told you that we can't do that out of the box in Power BI.
I'm expecting more from you.
So, so there is a way.
See, I always know.
There is a way. So let's go back in here. Let me remove my shape map, but it's apparently not good enough. And of course, we're not stuck with the out-of-the-box visuals in Power BI. We've got the opportunity to use custom visuals. Note an undocumented change. This one's Power BI. It no longer says marketplace, it now says app source. Until you click
How
on
many
it,
of you seen that?
and then it still says marketplace. One day it'll all be consistent. And I'm going to pull in from here. Oops, maps. I'm going to pull in, not my map, it's not a sales exercise, the map box visual. Which I've already added to the report. I don't want to be downloading too much in a real demo. So I'm going to add the Mapbox visual onto my report. So Mapbox, if you're not aware of them, are a a bespoke mapping company. All they do is mapping. They provide the mapping in Tableau, and they've provided a custom visual for Power BI. Now, if I start trying to configure this, if I pull in my London boroughs into location, and pull in my sales quantity over
please
here.
tell me it's free.
Well, it is free, or at least it's free up to a certain amount of usage. But you have to register first on mapbox.com. And when you've registered on mapbox.com, what you get is an API key. So if
Come on, quickly, everyone note it down.
it's off the edge of the screen. You'll have to guess the first few characters. If I copy that, what I have to do is I go into the formatting settings, into Viz settings, and just paste it here in access token. And then, what was that?
Yeah, other bit is.
Oh yeah, I'll be changing that tonight. You weren't going to guess it though, were you? Once you've pasted that in, then you can configure the map. Now, we don't want circles. Prathy's pretty clear she doesn't like circles on maps. So we want to stick with our outlines. So I'm going to go into the formatting settings, and Mapbox is pretty powerful. It will let you support lots of different types of maps. We don't need to do any geocoding in our map. We don't want circles, that's for sure. But we do want a choropleth map. So a choropleth map is... so I'm going to turn that on.
I learned something new.
It's because you never come to my mapping sessions.
No, well, because I don't do it. I have you to do it.
Point. So lots of settings in here. We want two levels. We want London boroughs and the ability to drill down into LSOA. So I'm going to say I want two levels in my hierarchy. And then I can configure it. And then, no worries, Sammy. And then level 2. But we've got an even smaller list of geographies here. We've only got countries, US states, and US postcodes. But we do have the ability to use our own custom geographies in the map.
Oh, is that another right terminology to use? Like
In this case, yes, because Mapbox works a little bit different to the shape map. Instead of having the file locally and importing it into Power BI, what we have to do is import it into Mapbox servers and refer to it on their servers. I guess which is why there's an API key, because they host all of those different maps and map layers for you. So what we have to do is it is then private, yeah. So yeah, you can put your own secure, bespoke layers on there, and it's all still only accessible to you. And Mapbox have an online tool called studio.mapbox.com. So if I go in here, some messages, and go into tile sets. So you remember in Power BI Desktop it mentioned tile sets that you'd pulled out. So we go to tile sets, and I want to create a new one. And all I have to do is import either those Esri shape files that we had before, or we can pull in GeoJSON files or lots of those other different formats that you can convert to in MapShaper. The only thing to note is it doesn't support TopoJSON. So so you might need to convert into one of the formats that it does support, but it supports lots. I'm not going to do this live because it can take 5 or 6 minutes and nobody wants to be sat here waiting for it to churn away. But I do have a couple I created earlier. So we've got local authorities and we've got the LSOAs.
And they are your user specific.
Yeah, so these are my own private ones. No one else can access these. They're linked to my API key. And what I get as well is a tileset ID. So this is my own ID. I copy that, go back to my Power BI report. This gets a little bit fiddly, but let me attempt to zoom in. I'm not very good with these sort of tools. But over here, you can see the URL for the default layer starts mapbox and then mapbox.pvi countries, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to delete everything out after the slashes and replace that with my own James Dale's one that we've just copied. And then there's a couple of other things I need to cut and paste. Under here in layer details, I need to copy this layer name that mapbox generates when you create the title set. That just gets pasted in the next box down. And then finally, you need to say, remember when I showed the data set, the Esri data set earlier, there were 3 files. There was a shape file, the SHP file, but there was also that DBF file which actually related the shapes to the different names. Within that DBF file were 4 different fields, so we had different sets of codes and names. Now we're using London Borough names, so I need to choose the name field. So I just copy that in here, and then hopefully we'll get our London boroughs. Now it's a little bit temperamental. It doesn't do anything until you interact with the report. So let's go back in, and then hopefully when the report gets refreshed, we get our bespoke London boroughs. So that's the boroughs. Let's do the LSOAs as well.
Yes, yeah.
So you get your drill down.
Yeah.
Now this is the same as normal Power BI visual. You pull in and create the hierarchy in the location field. And then we just need to jump back into those choropleth settings. And we configured level 1. We just need to do exactly the same now for level 2. Choose custom. And I'll do this quickly, but we just need to pull in the details for the LSOAs. So copy that one. That goes here. Copy this bit. That goes in here. And this time we've got LSOA codes, not names. So that goes there. And now, hopefully, if I turn drill down on the map, I can click in here. Should we go back to Kingston? Click in there, and it does this weird zoomy thing. And I can go all the way in, and look at that.
Kingston.
Kingston upon Thames.
Ah.
It's almost like rehearsed. Something works. And of course we can drill back out. It does the weird zoomy thing again, but we can zoom in to obviously anywhere else in London. And the Mapbox visual also supports report page tooltips and everything that we were doing before on the shape map. But we get background map and we get bespoke shapes on this as well.
Sorry, so we're seeing, especially when we zoomed out, we see the whole globe.
Yeah.
The map we imported was just the London boroughs, right?
Yeah.
So doesn't that information that we imported from Mapbox already know where these boroughs are in the world?
It does, because those boroughs actually have every corner of those boroughs. It has longitude and latitude coordinates, so it's actually plotting the outlines. That's what's in those shape files that we download. But I know what Prathy's like.
Yeah.
You're not going to be happy with this, are you?
Of course.
Because
First of all,
It-
yeah, go on.
the colours are horrible, aren't they?
Exactly. And I want to use, like, our branding, our colors. Like, some corporate colors.
We're not a big corporation.
Oh, well, I just
What's
make up some
our
colors where
branding?
I could actually read. Like, until you told me, I couldn't see it.
Well, what we've been using dark and I don't know. No,
You
yeah.
can hardly read, like, what's on there. Let me show you how to get colors. Like, I work with all these clients, and many times everyone struggles with colors. Let me show you how to
You want
get
to
some palettes.
You want to take over?
Yeah. Come on.
Be my guest.
So I'm going to show you how to get some color palettes, and then you tell me how you're going to put it on the maps.
All
Okay.
right, go.
Well, it's like I can barely open it.
That's
Okay. Right. So, I mean, this is something I want to show. Why? Because obviously it's a part of the flow, but also many times when we go to the client places, this color combinations is a key when you are coming to the reporting. So there are these are some resources I use like pretty much every day when I'm doing the reporting, and that's what we're gonna basically talk about. So my favorite go-to one is this, and I'm using Windows laptop, so it's gonna be a bit interesting. Let's see if it's gonna open up. So this is one of my favorite one. It's like it's award queue. So what you have here is like you can choose one of the pre-built palettes. So for example, I can go for something like this, or like pastel and things like that. And you can also change number of colors you want. So that way, it actually shows you the color combination and how those colors actually look next to each other. And the other more information you have in this one is like you can see all those colors and also the hex codes of those colors. Thing I really like is like the mistake James was doing is you have some background and some foreground that I actually can't read. So what this gives you is like how background and foreground looks on the report, and is it actually good for the vision deficiency. So, and it's nice cute emojis next to it, and basically wherever it's smiley, that's pretty much what you need to go for. So I'm actually not going to go for this palette. I'm probably going to go for something else, probably color blind friendly. And now if I go down, as I could see somewhere happy face, if I could, but usually you can find a happy face. Why can't I find a happy face? Maybe I have too many colors, but you could change things and it gives you an option. What I also like about this one is because you have all these color codes here. So once you have your color codes, what you can do in Power BI, you can use Power BI themes. Anyone use Power BI themes? Yeah, actually quite a few. So what Power BI has is you can have your Power BI theme files. Maybe can I quickly, I'll switch to, sorry. All right, okay.
Happy's about to reveal next month's Power BI.
Oh, right, okay. I don't want to do that.
It's all right, leave it.
Yeah?
It's nothing
Okay,
obvious.
cool. Yeah, that's always a scary bit, revealing the non-necessary stuff. So what you have in Power BI is like you have these themes, built-in themes, but what you can also do is you can have a customized theme. So you could go for browse for themes, and you can actually import your own theme file. So theme file is nothing but a JSON file. So the easiest way, and the way I usually go for, is I'll go to powerbitips.com. Anyone heard of Power BI Tips? Yeah, it's a go-to place if you're working with Power BI. So when you go to Power BI Tips, you have these various tools, but what you have is they have themes. So when you click on the themes, what I usually do is I will go to this I want queue. Once I am happy with my color palette, I basically go and copy all these colors, go to my Power BI theme file, and just keep it here. Add. So this creates a palette for me. Give the name, like I could give more properties. This has been changed recently, and then I just download my theme. I can click on the download theme. You can give a name, and it downloads the JSON file. Let me quickly type. So once you have this downloaded JSON file, you could go back to your Power BI and you could click on the browse for themes. Yeah, it's in downloads wherever it is. Yes, and you can choose your JSON file, and that imports the colors into your visuals. Well, it doesn't work very nicely with the custom visuals, but all the rest of the visuals usually it works. The theme file works really nice, and theme file is a very nice way to have the corporate brand. And every single time when you're creating a new Power BI file, you could use the theme file, so you don't have to worry about like which colors works and what colors doesn't work. There are a few more things in that resources link. Is like there are few more websites that I personally like. The Color Brewer, obviously, James likes this because it's on map. And when you're actually working with maps, because you show quite a lot of data, and you need that kind of a boundary to distribute different things. So that's why it's very important how it's going to see. And also many times you actually print your reports. When you print your reports, how it's going to look for the users. All these things are very important when you're looking at. So, and what this gives is like you can choose printer friendly colors and things like that. So I won't go in detail what exactly every single one is. And then the other one I like is Color Hexa. And why I like this one is this actually shows you how it looks for the color blindness people. And it is very important when you're creating Power BI reports, like any reports, if you're creating for your entire organization, you have to consider every individual person. What this gives you, every single color you choose, how a color blinded people would see that color. And then you can decide which palette you want to use. And those are my three main resources when you're going for the color palette. There are so many out there. But I just remember we actually have a logo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have
a theme, don't we?
Yes. So if you are somewhere, and this is a very best way to create a palette, is most of the times your company websites or your client websites and their logos are the best way to start a theme file. There are various places. So this is one of my favorite. It's like a bookmarked page. What you can do is, for example, if you go to, do we have the logo downloaded?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'll just go and.
We might have it downloaded.
Yeah. Oh, not the bug picture.
Let me find it for you.
Yeah.
I'm praying it's in here. It's not. But why don't we? Why don't we go for Lego Man?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was after. So you can upload the image, and what this gives me is the color codes, and I could see the color codes underneath. So it's basically I just hover over, and that gives me the color codes. So you can see some really nice palettes somewhere, and if you want to use that color from that logo, you could just import that one. You could even get the image URL and get the color code. The other really cool one is Canva. People who know me, they know my love towards Canva. What's going on here? See, this is why I use Mac. So Canva color code generator. Again, what you can do is you can upload your image. So let me upload this image. And what this does is you can upload your logo, and this gives me a palette with all the color codes. Again, I can copy those color codes and put it on my Power BI Tips palette generator, download the theme, and there you go. You have your theme file forever, and for every single report you're doing, you could just use the same theme file, and you could create some Power BI templates. So now you know.
Thanks.
So can I have those colors?
Can I have my computer back?
Yes, and also can I have those colors, please?
You want those colours?
Yes.
Okay. So, knowing you, Prathy, not only do you want me to put those colours on the shapes, all right. So what have you done to my colour palette? Look at this. All right. So what are we doing? Let's have minimum as dark, and then I know you've given me the hex code and a million websites to find them, but I'm going to guess. And we want yellow. But you're going to tell me that you're not happy with a grey map as well, aren't you?
No. Yeah.
Oh, And whilst Mapbox gives you a really good choice of different ones to choose from, it's not really in keeping with our black and yellow background, is it?
No.
So what we can do in that studio.mapbox.com tool is, as well as creating your own tile sets, if I go to Styles and hit New, we can completely customize the map background layers as well. And you can really go to town on these. I'm clearly not going to do that in this session. But if I choose the basic map that I've just added to the Power BI report as a base, hit Customize, and for some reason we end up in the middle of Paris. I've no idea why. Let's. Yeah, it's not where we're selling Lego. What we can do, now I'm back in London, is I can click on any element in the map. So let's click on this yellowy colour that's not really our yellow. And you'll see you get a little colour there. If I click on that, I can customise it. So let's make it a bit more of a Power BI yellow. It's horrible, but we'll stick with it.
Don't tell Microsoft.
So now I've got a really nice yellow map. I want to use that in Power BI. I just hit Share. Cut and paste this style URL. Go back to Power BI, and in the map style, if I choose custom, all I have to do is paste the style URL in there. And just in case I've got one I prepared earlier, I'm sure it'll be fine. We have a nice yellow Power BI map. And one last thing, just because I know you're never going to be happy with just the basic. You remember I dragged in quantity into the color field right at the start, by also dragging quantity into the size field. Let me make this full screen so you can see. Not only now, let's drill in somewhere. That's its weird zoomy thing. I think you can set the maximum extent to the map zooms out. But not only now do we have our LSOAs that we've zoomed in and our horrible yellow background, but we can also have a proper look in 3D and really zoom into those areas where we're not selling. That colour theme's horrible, brown. Why we ended up with brown.
Maybe we could reset.
Yeah, let's do that.
So the size of the building is the quantity of the cells.
Yes. So that, yeah, the height. So it's showing those LSOAs. It's extrapolating the height based on the number of cells. Yeah, that's a bit better. We've got black and yellow now.
Like a taxi driver, Jay, you're going to go south of the river.
Yeah. I don't go north. So there we are, Prathy. That you asked for a map. Surely you're happy now. Will that do?
Well, I would like to see products, like, what products we're selling there, like how many sales happen, like, more details about the products. Sales, it's not only sales. We need to know what products we're doing so we could get more of those.
Okay. All
And
right.
how many bags I need to send.
Fortunately, I have a product details page. Look, we've got pictures.
How do we get the picture?
So the picture is, did I do the pictures? The pictures are just URLs. So I've got this box field, and clearly I've just randomly Googled for Lego pictures on the internet, and I've added a custom visual called the image viewer, and I'm just pointing that visual.
That's very nice.
Okay. And look, we've
By
got
the way,
we've got
yeah, go on.
we've got profit by month in here. We've got price. You can see, all right, not lots of variation here, but the minimum price we've sold it, maximum price we've sold it.
And I also see that little scrollable thing.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just showing me random numbers.
yeah. Well, I haven't chosen a product.
So if I don't choose the product, it's just going to show me random
Yeah, okay, that's not good, is it?
No. It just tells me to choose a product.
Okay. Now, what I really want to do is get rid of all of the visuals at the bottom until I've selected the product.
Yeah, like that idea.
But you can't do that yet in Power BI. But I've got a strategy. I'm going to use my image custom visual. I'm going to cover up everything we don't want to see. And then I've created a bit of DAX, which basically is called select a product. So it's a measure. And if count rows of products is more than one, so if I've not selected a product, single product, then return this URL of the image, which I've hosted out there on Azure. Otherwise, just return nothing. So if I pull that into the image URL field, let's get rid of the title on there as well. Now it says, oh, and actually you need to turn the background off as well. Now it's telling me to select a product from the drop down, so that's what my image is. And now if I select a product, there we are.
Nice.
If I unselect it again, we get a message.
So you were checking for more than one product. So
Yeah. Because if I select one, I've only got room here on my visual to show one value. If I select more than one, then it's just going to hide the second value underneath because the bit isn't big enough. That's why.
James, the URL in that DAX, can you show us again?
Yeah, I can. So the URL I put here is just my own Azure subscription blob storage. I've copied the image up on there and I've made it publicly accessible.
How does it know which one to show when you pick different products?
It does. Oh, this is for the white. This is for this white image here. The
background is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
yeah, you would.
I'm still confused about that. More than one. I would have thought if it's more than if it's
Well, if it's
less, if it's one.
yeah, I'm with you. So that's a really good point. So if you don't select anything in a slicer, it actually selects everything. So your slicer selection will almost never be zero. It's very hard to not select anything in Power BI because it defaults to everything. No selection is everything. There is a way to trick Power BI into selecting zero, but I'm not going to go into that now. Yeah, that's a whole world of pain. Let's not go there. But I get that not everybody has easy access to an Azure subscription to host your image in. So I just want to show a quick technique for hosting images inside of Power BI without having to host them externally. And I'm going to go back to Google, and I'm going to Google for 64-bit image encoder. I'm going to go for the top one again. Be lucky. It's free, yeah, free tool. If I click here and import my picture, so that's my selected product PNG file, upload it in. If I click show code, you can see here it's giving me this bit of code starting data : image, blah, 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 blah. If I copy all of that, go back to my DAX and replace the URL with what I've copied, I'm just going to paste that in. All right, it's a bit scary, but it's actually the 64-bit encoding.
That's a nice pattern.
Well, it's because it's a blank image, so it's just showing a lot of the same nothingness. Let's hide that. And now, rather than it having to go out to Azure, that image is now held inside my DAX, inside the Power BI report. Now, you don't want to go too mad with this, because obviously it's going to bloat the size of the Power BI report. But for the odd image, and especially small images, this is quite a useful technique. The other little handy thing while I'm here that I thought was probably worth showing was I'm using the different pages to navigate to and from. I've been asked on quite a lot of projects how you can click on a visual and make that navigate to the other page. And this is really useful if you've got a KPI visual or a card, something that's showing a numeric value, and you want to click on it and see what the detail is behind it. And there isn't a way of doing that on the visual itself. So say I want to click on this line chart and then go through to the visual. You wouldn't probably do that. You'd probably do it with something that's not interactive, like a KPI or a card visual. But what you can do to do it is insert a button. I'm going to choose a blank button, drag that, in this case, on top of my line chart. Actually, before I configure it, I just need to go to my product details page and create a bookmark. So let's go to view bookmarks. Just going to add a bookmark in here. I'm going to call it navigate details, just so we've got a new one. So back here on the formatting settings of my new button that's currently obscure in my line chart, I'm going to turn the icon off because we haven't got one anyway. I'm going to turn the outline off. I'm going to turn the background color off, so now we can't even see my button. And then under action, let's turn that on, choose bookmark and my navigate details one. So now I can click on my line chart and it navigates through to my details page. So it's quite a nice little hack to get around the fact that you can't make KPI visual cards or other visuals in Power BI do navigation. And that works not only for bookmarks, but you can also you can link off to external source systems or anything you want using the action button and choosing web URL. So it doesn't just have to be a bookmark. You can use that to go outside of Power BI.
What about the over function?
What about the what, sorry?
Over function.
Yeah, so you lose all interactivity now. So I can't interact with the visual, which is why it's better on a KPI that doesn't do anything anyway. So it's all right. So we've got a pretty product details page now. It's a little more user friendly. We've got a pretty picture in here. We've got some details. And anything else you want in here, Prathy?
I don't know, it's too small to me, and I wanted to. It's not pointing out. This is exactly what I'm trying to say. You need something like,
Something to shout.
Yeah.
Lego.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes.
Something to bring it to life.
Yes. I think. Yeah. So
All
we
right.
know you will bring it to life.
So instead of a static picture, what about if we had a video?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, conveniently, also in my Azure subscription, I've got a little video of all of our different products. And each of those videos' file name is the product ID. Okay? So back in AppSource, there's a custom visual called HTML Viewer. And normally, you'd use it for like doing some fancy formatted text in your report. But in this case, I'm going to add it on, and I've created a new calculated column in my report. And what it's doing, you could do it in M, it doesn't have to be a calculated column, probably better to do it in Power Query than it is in DAX for performance reasons, but more worried about the end result and how we got there. But I've created a little bit of HTML code, which is the HTML5 code for a video player. It's really simple. It's just video, use the full width of the visual, don't display any controls, make it autoplay, and don't use the sound because it will drive us all mad. And then in the source, I've just pointed to my directory over in Azure where I've posted these videos, and I've just inserted the product ID and then just finished off the HTML. So if I drag that into values, not that value, on my HTML viewer. Ooh, sorry. There we go. Drag video over here. We get. It doesn't work.
You said you're gonna keep showing me video.
All right. It does work, but it doesn't work in Power BI Desktop. So I spent ages trying to work out. It's not working. Why is it not working? And the reason is it only works in the service. So if I jump back into Power BI, so we're in Power BI service now rather than the desktop. Let me find let's make this full screen. Let's see what we're looking at. Let me go to my product details page. And actually, it does work. So as I choose a different product now here, we should automatically get played the appropriate video.
Oh, that's nice.
So has that brought it to life for you, Prathy?
Definitely brought it to life to me. I think it's like it's everywhere. Like I'm very important. I don't want to go to so many clicks.
Okay. What are you saying?
It's like I want everything to be in one place and like so much stuff.
Okay.
You want some in one page, some in the other page. Maybe like an infographic.
I've had enough.
James, you don't have to do
You do it.
infographic?
You
Okay.
do it.
All right, I'm going to show you how to do infographic now. Okay, it's actually very easy. Actually, let me show you. I'm going to do some magics like this. Just
It
close
better be
everything. Well, it will be. Prathy did it. See, look at this. Okay, so I can
Hang
scroll
on a
down.
minute. You've got scroll bars.
Yeah, I
You've
can
done that.
scroll down. So what I did is like I just went to my page setup. I go here, look, paint button, go to page size. You always you never actually go for default one. But what I did is I went for custom setting. Like when you click on that, you see this custom option, and then I changed width.
So you've got the portrait before now. It's
Yeah.
scrollable.
Yeah.
But when I do this, it all goes really small and it's unusable.
What do you mean small?
So rather than giving me scroll bars, it just tries to squeeze everything in the report into one page.
If you
Is there a setting that you need to change to make it work? Like
you mean like in the view, like how you want to view this?
yeah,
Well, yeah. If you go for fit to page, then yes, this is how it's gonna.
yeah, that's what happens to me. So
Uh-huh.
what do you have to do?
No, what you need to do is, there are various ways. Sometimes when I'm demoing it, I like to go for fit to page, so it's completely on the screen and it gives me that kind of nice scrollable effect. But what this gives you is it actually makes your values look really big as well. So sometimes I prefer actual size. So that way it holds that font format that I went for, and it's gonna look quite nice.
So
See?
are you telling me I can do this on my maps as well? So if I want my report page tooltips, but I want to fit more in them, more maps, then
Yeah, you can totally
then
do
I
it.
can change
Where was
the
your
tooltip
map?
size as well. I don't have to choose page size tooltip. I can just put my own size in and fit even more in.
Yes, you can totally do it. You don't have to choose the tooltip. You can just go to custom and maybe just change the height to 600.
Oh, look at that.
And you can have more maps. Does 2 maps makes you happy? Or you want more? Well, it didn't work, but
Drag
Yeah.
the 3 dots there.
oh, it's
Yeah, pull down.
oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Particularly with anything that's draggable, like the map visuals. You see, Prathy doesn't do enough maps to have to found this. But if you can't drag, sorry,
With the control drive.
no. So to get it to drag, if you've got a visual that won't drag, and this applies to most custom visuals too. The Power BI team don't believe that this is a problem. It is. Click on the map again. If you
Yeah.
want to move it around, you can't drag the map because the map's sometimes scrollable and it just tries to drag the map around.
yeah.
Instead, the 3 little dots appear. You can drag that around.
How about copy paste? Because that's been a bit of a problem.
No, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
You
copy
still have
and
to go
paste
to
is
the
also
menu.
annoying.
Yeah.
But there you go, you can have two maps. And also,
So-
you can hold that three buttons to scroll it. Okay, so what I also have is, where is my three buttons? So let's go here. So it's nice, quite nice, scrollable. I have more measures and things, and I have nice layout as well. Like, I can click on this if the bookmark actually works. Let me go to my book. Oh, wait. Action. What's that? Product details. So I can switch between bookmarks, and there you go. I have. Are you talking about one picture?
Hang on a minute. Where will he, how have you got my Lego pictures?
So this is called.
Is this a slicer? Can you click on these?
Yes, I can click on those, and there you go. You have all this.
I like that.
Yeah, so this is called
So-
chiclet slicer.
So this isn't the out of the box slicer.
No, it's not out of the box slicer, but out of the box slicer also supports images, but you don't have this kind of nice horizontal layout and all those things. Maybe somebody could go and fix it.
Ooh. Watch this space.
But for the chiclet slicer, until James go and fix it, or somebody in the Microsoft go and fix it, in the chiclet slicer, what you can do is you could actually go to the images and choose 100. By default, you get 50, but if you make it 100, then your entire image comes. If you don't want any labels and things, you get your entire image. And then you could actually have various other options. You could go for round. Usually I keep the stretch image because not all images are in the right size. So if you have the stretch image, you'll have them in the right format, the size. And you have more information here, how many columns you want, how many rows you want, and things like that. I went for a 3 and 0 rows, but based on your data, how much data you have, you can choose various things. You could have instead of horizontal, you can have vertical and all the data there. So there you go. I could click on those, and I have images, and I have nice KPIs. It's quite nice, when somebody does okay work and copy and paste it in a nice layout. Do you like it? No?
There's no videos. But
Well, videos doesn't even work in the Power BI desktop, but it has nice layout.
I do like it. So it'll be
But let
fine.
me make you happy.
Oh, go on then. Oh, we've got
Da-da.
now I like it.
There you
So-
go. I know how to please you.
So we've finally come up with a report that we both like.
Yeah. I'm actually happy that I came up with this report. Right. On that note, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it.